Uh, Hi, everybody. This is Monday, and that means it's the option series that we do with Experimental Sound Studio every week. And tonight we have a very, very special guest, Silke Eberhard from Berlin, Germany. It's great to see you, Silke. Oh, just my Eric Dolphy. Check it out, man.
Oh.
I have an Eric Dolphy
Hi.
photo.
Oh, wow. Wow,
Yeah.
It's framed and it has
It's just, I love the photo because I'm getting glare, man, but like I think you can see it. It's from the Blue Note session he did, Out to Lunch, right? And I love the photo because like that's one of my favorite records. I think it's like one of the greatest of any music. It's one of the greatest recordings of all time. And he's at either the rehearsal or listening back to a take or something, and he looks so pensive, so like frustrated almost. And I think, yeah, I look at that every day because I think if Eric Dolphy on one of the greatest records of all time still had a feeling of like, I could have done more, then it's okay to feel that way. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It's part of the process. The struggle is part of the process. Yeah.
Well, I'm really delighted that firstly that this is your favorite or one of your favorite albums, because it's also one of my favorite albums and also one of my favorite photos. And I'm jealous. I also would like to have this photo on my wall. So maybe that's a new project.
Yeah, there's something about it. There's something about it that resonates. I mean, on so many levels. But well, let's start with that. Let's start. You've got a bunch of performances that you recorded for us that we're going to listen to. Really striking music, as always. And maybe we can start talking about Dolphy a little bit, because I know you had a project called Pazzolazzo that started with Dolphy's music and evolved into focus on your own compositions. Could you talk a little bit about Dolphy and that Pazzolazzo project, how it shifted and developed?
Mm-hmm. Yes, as you know, Eric Dolphy is one of my all favorites of all times, musician for me. And yeah, and I've always wanted to make a project dedicated to his music, but I didn't want it to play his music kind of in the same lineup. I wanted to find a new, not a new, but another solution to do that. So I had this silly idea at the beginning to do it with 4 horns. And yeah, and it was just like I was playing around with the music, and I thought, it would be nice to play that. And then I called my friends Patrick Braun and Gerhard Schlössl and Nikolaus Neusser, and we made a session. And then I thought, oh wow, this is working. And then I just went crazy and did all the compositions.
Wow.
And I have to say, there are not too many at this point. It was like 26, I think.
So you did his whole compositional, everything that's been documented. You transcribed all of those tunes?
Yeah, wow. I didn't transcribe all of them. I had some transcriptions. From a colleague, Rolf Sudmann, a piano player, and what I didn't have from it, and they were really good. So, and then I added the missing ones, and then I arranged them for the 4 horns. That was the main work.
And what were the 4 horns? What were the instrumentation?
Alto saxophone, tenor saxophone, trumpet, and trombone.
Oh, okay, nice, really nice.
Yes.
And how did you had the Dolphy compositions, the original pieces, and then arrange them. And did you do with the arrangements not only like voicing it for the horns, but how did you set up the pieces for improvising and that kind of stuff? What was your strategy for the pieces?
I looked on each piece and tried to find an essence or something that means something. For example, on sometimes we play on the form, sometimes I just used a phrase and then we get free on that. So I have different ideas, and also like a walking bass on the trumpet. It's something really good.
Okay. I'd like to hear that, actually. I've never heard that before. Wow.
Yeah, and then we made the CD, and then it was kind of finished, no? The complete works of Eric Dolphy. It was a jazz Werkstatt record in 2009 or 10. And then there was this myth about the Love Suite. Have you heard about that? People were talking about it, like colleagues of Eric Dolphy. Later, they talked about that he was working on a piece for his wedding in 1964 when he already moved to Paris. And he wanted to marry this dancer. So yeah, and no one really. I found one thing that Gianluigi Trovesi, he has performed it, but only the first part. So it was like a huge research, and finally I came to get in contact with Gunther Schuller. It was really beautiful. I sent him an email and he never answered, but half a year later I got an email and his phone number, and I immediately called him, and that guy must be at home now, so I just called him up, and then and then we talked for a while, and in German. No? It was it was really amazing, and then he said, oh yeah, he has the music and also the original manuscript of Eric Dolphy and the arrangement of the music that he did, and he sent it to me.
Wow.
And that's
incredible.
It was really incredible, yeah. And all the rumor about this piece was wrong. It was not a saxophone quartet. It was not a string quartet. It was a woodwind quintet, plus an additional French horn, plus a rhythm section, and Eric Dolphy. So 10 voices.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I thought, oh shit, this is not possible to do with 4 horns. I have to make the group bigger. And so, yeah, we did that. And I thought, no, I won't do the woodwind quintet. A tuba and a clarinet.
I'm sorry, Silke, could you say that again? Because you dropped out for just a moment. You said you didn't want to do the quintet?
I didn't want to make the original woodwind quintet. So I decided to keep the Pozzalozza thing, but just invite more musicians.
I see.
So, and then I added a clarinet and Jürgen Kupke and Mart Unternehrer on the tuba, and Antonis Anisegos on electronics.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah. And he came with some beautiful bird sounds and from the stars, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's an incredible story. I mean, I didn't even know the legendary thing about the suite. So the fact that you were actually able to get the material, the original stuff, I mean, that's amazing research.
Really, yes. And after that, I went also to the Library of Congress. There is the material. My English. The material of Eric Dolphy, what he left after his death.
Like the archive.
The archive, some 5 boxes of manuscripts and notebooks and stuff he just practiced. It's really interesting. Yeah. And then I found out that the Love Suite, which was meant to be unfinished, Gunther Schuller said that it's not finished. So I finished it. I wrote an ending to it, and hopefully I thought, hopefully I make it in the sense how Eric would have liked it, or in that mood. And I found a manuscript of that piece, and actually it was finished. But it's only a piece of paper and no title on it. So only I could know that this is the last part of the Love Suite, because I knew the Gunther Schuller manuscript. And yeah,
That's unbelievable. Wow, incredible. So, hey, well, let's listen to some of your music. We talked about Eric Dolphy, a hero for both of us for a little bit, but you sent some amazing stuff of your own, some solo alto music, among other things. And let's start with the first piece. If I'm right, all the material you sent is completely improvised?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, listen to the first piece here. We've been talking here on Option Talks with Silke Eberhard, our special guest from Berlin today. And stay tuned for some of Silke's own music, alto saxophone improvisation. We'll call it number one. Okay,
Cool.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening. That was Silke Eberhard with the first piece she provided, performing in Berlin. Is that your rehearsal space?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, beautiful music, and beautiful to talk to you about Eric Dolphy so far. I wanted to talk about another musician that you worked with directly, Ulrich Gumpert, the pianist. I got to play with him in a quartet situation many years ago now. Unfortunately, it was a while ago, and it was really great. It was with Jan Roeder, who you work with a lot, and Michael, the drummer.
Greener.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a really phenomenal time for me, and I wanted to ask you about this. We played some of Ulrich's pieces, which were very minimal in a way, like in terms of material. Not minimal in terms of energy, but like small pieces that had a lot of potential, options in them. Like you looked at the page, they're very simple in a way, but not simplistic. They opened up a lot of possibilities. They got to music really quickly and ideas about improvising really quickly. And there was something about playing with Ulrich, who is like older than me, even. A few people still are older than me. But like kind of from a different generation of like a quote unquote free jazz player, like really coming out of a European free jazz period, like earlier. And there was something about the way he played that made the music, those pieces, really come to life. Like if a younger player looked at them, maybe could do something super cool with them as well. But there was something about the generation of his perspective. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but I really felt like I was working with someone who was completely in this time, but it also had a foot in a development from an earlier generation. And it had an amazing feeling, like the environment or the character of the music really felt like I'm playing with somebody who has this other kind of history, and not just European, but like generational texture or feeling somehow to the playing that generated a whole different kind of music for me. Even in my own playing, I felt his impact, like in a very unique way. It's hard to describe. It's and I was wondering, like, since you've worked with him, a lot, what's your feeling when you play with him? I mean, do you know what I'm talking about? Like this generational thing?
Absolutely, and how you just describe it, I just feel the same, and it's how he listens, how he plays, and yes, the whole history. Also, it's not only the European history; it's his history, his specific history of the GDR, of the former GDR. So this music had a deep. Of course, it has a deep meaning, but it has a political strength also, and the how can I say they developed that on their own. They had only a few records they could get. I mean, Ulrich, he could travel to the West, and he did tours with Steve Lacy or John Chickhai in duo. And I think also this you can hear in his playing, this simple, if you talk about Steve Lacy, this simpleness also of his tunes. Maybe there is a little connection also.
Well, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about it. Because I have that record of their performance of Steve Lacy and Ulrich together, which is phenomenal. You know that duo record? Oh my God, it's so much energy, and they really have a sympathy, like in their playing, like they're really meant to play together. This relationship I think you're talking about is evident. Yeah.
But playing with Uli, I had an absolutely key moment with him when it was just in 2000 or something. It was my birthday, and there was the ABC bar. I don't know if you know that. We had great jazz sessions there every Tuesday or something, and Michael Griener was there, and he brought Ulrich Gumpert. I didn't know him. And it was only sitting there and listening and really enjoying that the young people play that kind of music. And some months later, I had the chance to do a gig at Jazz Keller at Assi's place, no? And I thought, oh, maybe I could ask Ulrich Kompert. And then it was really, okay, I call him, and he said yes. And then Johannes Bauer was also in that. It was we called it the October Band because of the October Revolution, and that was my first time to playing with those free jazz cats, and I was flying for 3 days. I couldn't go down anymore. I couldn't calm down. And
wow. Who else was in the band? So Ulrich and Johannes and anybody else?
And Michael.
Okay.
And Derek Shirley. Okay. He's a Canadian bass player who lives also in Berlin. Yeah.
Oh man, beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. And since then we just play together occasionally. Yeah.
Oh, that's, yeah. And you mentioned the GDR, the impact of being in the GDR for musicians like Johannes and Ulrich and many, many other German musicians who were in that part of Germany when it was separated. I mean, I knew Johannes pretty well because I got to play with him a lot in the Broadsman Chicago Quintet. And how would you describe, if you could, like the difference between the GDR players from that generation that were living there, playing music there, the importance politically? You talk about it, like the freedom in the music in a context where there was the Stasi and a lot of other things that were not free. Is there a sensibility in the music that you hear that's different from musicians, let's say, of the same generation that were in the west of Germany? Or is it not really possible to identify?
If you would only hear the music, if you compare, I don't know, West free jazz players with GDR, I wouldn't think so. I think it's a similar language, and also there was this exchange. They were working together. Also Peter Kowald, he went a lot to the GDR, and so it was also this community together. But some people, let's say Ernst Ludwig Petrowski, for instance, alto saxophone, clarinet, and I think those people, they also enjoyed playing Dixieland or swing or whatever. There was this huge openness to any kind of music. Maybe that there's no dogma.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, and in case of Ulrich, he also had this Hammond blues thing that maybe not every free jazz player would do. Mm-hmm. Just sit and play blues whole night. So I think that's
really interesting to know, because that is a real difference.
Mm-hmm.
And like I know, in talking to Johannes one time, he talked about being in a James Brown cover band, like a funk band, and being in the horn section. And it was an amazing story. Like, it was just so phenomenal. And he was doing the moves and showing me how they had everything choreographed, and you just think, like, East German funk band, like, wow, that's just so rapid. And then Johannes was such an incredible free player,
Mm-hmm.
And clearly when he talked about doing the funk stuff, he was happy. You could see how happy it made him. Like, he loved it, Yeah.
Yes, and that was popular music at that time. And also there is this one tune, Sock Rock, by Ulrich Kompert, and they play it with this band, and Günther Baby Sommer is on the drums. And this was a #1 hit in the radio in '71.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's
That's
like
a short list of free jazz musicians who have a #1 hit radio tune.
And you must listen to this because it's kinds of a jazz, funky, boogaloo, whatever kind of thing. And in the middle, there is a free jazz drum solo. And it's a very long tune, like 7-8 minutes. And I mean...
And it was a hit.
It was #1.
Wow, that is
cool. Ulrich Kompert.
#1 one-hit songwriter Lübke. Who would know? That's so incredible. That's great. Okay, well let's hear a bit more of your music, another alto improvisation, and then we'll come back and talk some more. This is Option Talks Music. We have a special guest from Berlin, Silke Eberhard, amazing musician with an incredible history, and we're sharing it and hearing about it now. So stay tuned, and we'll be back after a solo alto improvisation. Hi, everybody. We're back with Silke Eberhard, conversation today on Option Talks. Yeah, we've gone over some stuff with Dolphy and Ulrich Gumbert, the GDR scene a bit. And I want to talk about, let's get more into your work, because the history is amazing, but, it's also the present time, and you're doing so much music of your own as a composer and improviser, and such an important person in the international scene. Incredible resume of people you've worked with, all over the place in Europe and the States. I wanted to talk about something that you said. Now I guess it was March of 2019, which was a while ago now. I was on tour in Europe with the band Marker, and we did a couple nights in Berlin, and you were part of that, which was amazing, as a guest playing with some of the musicians in that band, which includes Macy Stewart, Steve Marquette, Andrew Klinkman, and Phil Soderbergh. And being in Berlin with those musicians and playing with the musicians in Berlin like you, the exchange, it was so amazing for us. Really beautiful experience. And I remember, if I remember correctly, the way it worked is, we had these groupings with the Berlin musicians mixing like ad hoc with musicians with Marker, and Marker played a set too. And I remember after you heard Marker, you came up to me and you had this huge smile on your face, and you go, and you played swing. You played swing, and you're so happy. And I was really struck by that because, I guess, like you mentioned the East German sensibility, the GDR sensibility, like you could play anything, like mm-hmm. And obviously I didn't come from that period, and certainly I'm not German, but that idea that like anything is possible, anything's material, that's free to me, mm-hmm. and I've definitely had experiences where, people, musicians or listeners, like their definition of free is like there's no pulse, or there isn't a conventional melodic line, But to me, like, well, if you're putting a parameter around the thing, then it's not free either. It's just a freedom from something that was a convention before. And if you can leave it open, like in the case of Ulrich, playing a blues organ combo, and that gives him something that he wants to play that is free for him, and then does music that has no time, and then it has no beat, whatever. Like that, I kind of relate to that mindset. And so when you came up and you were like, oh man, you played swing, like I was really struck by it, because for me, it was like you recognized that was a freedom for us to pursue, even though it has an association with earlier, jazz period, let's say, than, the 21st century. But if you look at that process or that kind of playing and put it into a context that is the 21st century, suddenly it opens up all these relationships. It's another kind of material that you can utilize. And I know in your music, you work with a wide range of materials too. I was just wondering, why did that make you happy? Like, what was the thing that, when you came up like that, what was the trigger? And then also, how do you perceive material? Like, do you think, what's free to you?
Mm-hmm. Firstly, I like swing, and I don't mean it in the sense of old-fashioned or what. I also like that, but I like it when people are not afraid to do that, and it comes from the heart, I think. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, to me this is so rooted in the maybe in the 60s free jazz, but still looking forward, and yeah, it just makes me happy. I don't know how to say.
I know how you feel. I mean, it's like I can't help it. It's like when I go back recently.
And and it's also earthy and a dark mood, and it's really hard to put in words for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. It's like I keep trying to explore and keep challenging myself. But there's because of the music I heard growing up as a kid and the people I saw play all the time as a kid with my folks, you know, like Art Blakey all the time or Johnny Griffin, you know, which are more mainstream players, and then going further out as I got older and, you know, hearing Don Cherry live and stuff like that. It's like that's part of my background. It's like part of my musical DNA because of I was fortunate to see all that stuff and live,
Wow.
you know, not just record, you know. And so it really shaped me. And it's like, so it brings me a lot of joy still. And to get into that space and try to work with it in my own way, it's another kind of language to work with. It's not done. Like there's more to say with it, you know?
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for you, like what kinds of material, like when as a composer and improviser, like because you do a lot of different things, how do you think about it? How do you think about composed material? How do you like to use it? What kinds of, to lack of a better term, like what kind of stylistic concerns do you have or things you want to explore in your own music?
I think the music I do for a long time with my trio, for instance, is also based in that 60s mood, but I don't know what it is. I always wrote little melodies and they end up to be like with a swinging rhythm or something, but in a square or dry or edgy mood. And so this is maybe one thing. And with my large ensemble, I try to explore also the orchestral voices and possibilities of the instrumentation and the colors. Maybe I should say the instrumentation. No? So this Pozzalozza XL has 5 horns and a 5 rhythm section. So that is cello, vibraphone, piano, bass, and drums. And the 5 horns are the Pozzalozza and plus clarinet. So and this is so colorful already, all these instruments, and I learn a lot from that group because at the beginning I was writing, everyone was playing all the time. You know what I mean? I put too much notes and now I learn a little bit to use maybe only the strings, maybe different combinations, and so I go from that. And now I invited the Korean gayagum player.
Oh wow!
And I wrote a concerto for her.
Wow!
Jin Sung, and and that's we recorded this piece this year, and it will come out next year on Trouble in the East.
Oh wow, that's incredible! Wow, and like in terms of like if you could describe like writing a concerto for the Korean instrument and that obviously that's a big departure from quote unquote, you know, let's say a jazz trajectory, you know, so to speak. I mean, what kind of influences do you have in terms of composers or kinds of music that are influencing your writing?
Of course, this ranges from Eric Dolphy, Cecil Taylor, Charles Mingus, Thelonious Monk, to some European, maybe. I mean, everyone says that I love the music of Ligeti and Berio and Stravinsky. So, but I wouldn't say that I'm too much into it. So and I have this this fable also to Asian music. I discovered this Korean traditional music, and this is so different to our music. So I think this is adding a new influence also, and
yeah. Well, I mean, in Korean stuff, I know Paul Nilsson Love has studied Korean music a lot. He's a huge student of that music, and some of the stuff that he's played for me on record, the whole sense of time and timing is totally different than Western music or music coming out of a jazz background, or even more free improvised stuff. Like the whole sense of where things happen and the space and everything is radically different.
Yeah, it's so majestic, no? In a way. It's like this and not bing, 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 bing. It's not swing.
It's not. It has another kind. It has definitely a different kind of swing. But it does have this like elliptical, like gesture, like you say, majestic, like this gestural kind of rhythmic sensibility that, and maybe that's me translating it in my mind to grapple with where the thing comes from, because it's also connected to the text, if it's using text and voice and all the and then other ritual, traditional or shamanistic stuff connected to like South Korean shamanistic music, which is another thing too in terms of energy and intensity. So yeah, that's I didn't realize that you were interested in that, and I think this is a great segue. We'll play the last piece you sent, which when I saw, I was like, okay, this is a surprise. Now I understand much better where it comes from. We'll go out with that. I mean, because I think if you could talk a moment about this piece, the koto, the Korean instrument, could you describe a little bit about the background on it?
Yeah, it is similar to the koto. The Korean version is called gayagum, kayagum, and it's a sitar. Like this long. Can you see that? And like this, wide and high like this, and it has 12 strings, and it's traditionally pentatonically, but you can move the little anchos to detune it, and you can press each string like and make those sounds, like microtonal and chromatic, of course. So you can basically play everything on it, but it's not so easy. And I'm learning this instrument myself since 4 years.
Okay.
And I'm taking classes and all that. And yeah, actually, I wanted to learn the ajeng. That is a similar instrument, but it's bowed.
Oh, okay.
And it has only, I think, 6 or 8 strings, and it's bigger. So, but there's no one in whole Europe who plays that, or I didn't find anyone. So I discovered the other one and thought, oh wow, this is similar. Let's give it a try.
Wow.
And
have you been using it much in performance?
No. So, I think I played it twice. First time it was when I got the Jazz Prize Berlin last year.
Congratulations on that. That's an amazing achievement.
I had to hold a speech, and I was playing the gayagum and doing the speech at the same time. So
really?
I could. Yes.
Oh, that's so great. That's really great.
So I could make, if I thank someone, I could make a good sound to that. And
that's great. That's the first time you played it in public.
Yes. Oh no, actually the first time it was at a funeral, but that was That was the first time. The second time was this,
Okay.
and the third time the professional Gayagum player. We have a duo also.
Oh, okay.
And this was the fourth time.
Okay.
Now.
Okay. Well, Silke, I want to thank you very, very, very much for joining us and having this conversation. I learned a lot in a short amount of time, and thank you for that. And it's great to see you again. I can't wait to see you again, wherever it might be, if it's in Germany but somewhere in person. It's always a really good time.
Thank you so much, Ken. It's so great. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. And I would love to get a chance to play some music together, you know.
Absolutely.
Of any kind.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Absolutely.
I am with you. Everybody, again, Silke Eberhard, based in Berlin, international traveler, both in music and in space and time and place. And we're going to end with a Gayagum. And is this also an improvised completely piece? Improvised?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, beautiful. Thanks so much, Silke, and good luck this autumn. And I'll see you soon. And thanks for everybody for listening. It's been beautiful. Silke Eberhard.